Hello. This is Caitlin Domke. We're just going to be going over EGR302's last individual progress update for the semester, sprints 5 and 6. We're going to go over the slides, which include the breakdown labor. I'm going to switch over to the demo right after that, and then hit the GitHub repository to show my changes and my contributions. And let's just hit the slides real quick. So first, breakdown labor. First slide, there's two slides for this one. There's a recipe filter, there's accessibility enhancements, portioning calculator notifications, and recipe save. The recipe filter was to have Gemini, our way of generating most of our content for this app, would generate recipes either according to search, where the user looks up the name of a recipe, or it just takes into account a user's pantry that has different ingredients, and then take those lists of ingredients and generate different recipes for that user. Accessibility, just to make the experience more friendly to the user and more convenient to the user. The portioning calculator was to, when we generate those recipes, we'd be able to increment or decrement the portions. So you could have multiple portions and it would increment the amount of ingredients that you have. And then maybe after you confirm that you, for example, made the recipe, you could use those amounts of ingredients and detract that from what you currently have in your pantry to keep it current. So notifications here is that one, to add expiration dates to your pantry items, and then have the app remind the user in small increments when it's approaching the expiration date to either use the ingredients or throw them away, and then at the end to let them know it's expired so they don't make themselves sick or get food poisoning. And then recipe save was just a feature that we wanted to get in, was saving the recipes to the user so the user can view it later and have it in our database. So some of these are in progress because unfortunately it's basically like my group gave up on me at the end of the sprint, end of the semester really. Two of my group members just basically told me that they couldn't work on the project anymore, whether it was technical difficulties that I didn't have, and they seemed like they weren't willing to try and fix it on their end. So they just stopped working and didn't communicate with me at all. And then my project leader, she put in a lot of work at the beginning of the semester, but then she had some things going on, and then I could not reach her at all for the past few weeks at least. So basically it's been just me struggling to get work in, and not really having anyone to turn to for help, or to just have someone to divide the work with. So much of the completed story points are higher than the estimated just because I was new to all of this and inexperienced, so I thought some things would have been easier than they were. And then also they were more difficult because I was just doing it all on my own. So on our next slide, we have the chatbot feature, which would have been utilizing Gemini again. It would allow users to discuss recommendations for supplements in mind of allergies or dietary restrictions or just diets that they want to go on, and guidance on meal plan creation and applications to fitness and health goals. So basically it would have been a more friendly experience and just for inquiries from the user, and then have that saved to the user to our Firebase. Dynamic recipe screen has been an ongoing task for me to work on, and basically that's the screen that pops up when Gemini generates that recipe for the user whether it's on just prompt of searching the recipe name or just the pantry ingredients. Splash screen, it's just resizing it and reformatting it, just reapplying it, because there was some confusion early on where someone dealt with it and someone else dealt with it. Did it connect to Firestore? It was just getting everything connected, and unfortunately, with all that was going on and no one working with me, and even with online resources and everything, I could not get it connected in time, and I'm very regretful of that fact. Pipeline of data is just figuring out how we could feed Gemini the information, and then Gemini feed it back to the app, and then the app display the information for the user to view. So, as I said before, some of these are in progress because I didn't get to complete it on my own, even with a all-nighter and a lot of hours put into this on my own. um, so the completed story points, unfortunately, is over the estimated. There's 66 completed story points and 45 estimated story points. And the minutes worked was 2,580, which is over 40 hours over the course of 2 sprints. And some of them I might have had lowballed the hours after just stressing out and doing a lot at the end here. So I'm going to go to our live demo. We have our app here. Since my changes weren't able to be connected and for the app to start regularly, it unfortunately just looks the exact same as our previous update, which is just, you can go to all recipes, you can see the different recipes that are hard-coded in, and then the pantry, which is based on the user's pantry. But with Gemini, if we had it all implemented in, it would have had the search bar still, and you could type in the different recipes that you'd like, and then Gemini would take that text information and then give you a recipe that has the recipe name, the ingredients and the amounts, the measurements, and the instructions all together. And the pantry had just prompts for the user to be able to select their pantry and then have Gemini generate recipes based on the ingredients in the user's pantry that's saved on Firebase. We have our profile page, which just basically lets you sign out. Our grocery page, which you can type in an ad. Oh, there we go. You can add and remove it. The same with the pantry. Tomato sauce, let's say. And then I'll remove it. So for now, that's all we have for the demo, with my changes not being able to be displayed, unfortunately. If you want to hop over to the GitHub, we have several branches for my work, but we're gonna find most of it in G/working. So we have chatbot. We go down to utils. All right, welcome back. I had to pause for a little bit to get these pushes in order. So this is the most recent. This is the chatbot editions. This basically just gives it a friendly interface, or like a friendly persona for the chatbot. And as I said before, just you can ask about nutrition, diets, fitness, and it'll give you responses and recommendations. A couple times I had to try and get everything connected, which led to me editing with Firebase package JSON. And then this is the Dietbot service, which helps with the staying on topic of the chatbot, and it'll ideally direct users back on track for what they want. This, I think I forgot to remove it because lint kept throwing me errors whenever I would basically do anything. If we go to Gemini, this is for the generate recipes screen. So we have our styling, our format of how we wanted our response back from Gemini, connecting it all together. Some back and forth with trying to fix it for the demo, and then just getting the API key in there officially, and then this the Gemini service help connect it. I had to learn more about Firebase and the functions aspect of it, which ended up being the biggest problem, was the functions not wanting to be deployed by Firebase. So that will be the end of my my presentation. Apologies that it's long, but it does include all the explanation for what's been going on and the work that I put in that unfortunately wasn't shown today, or I guess yesterday, when this YouTube video is getting put up for the actual in-person presentation. So thank you whenever you're seeing this. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night.